A very good morning to you. This beautiful Saturday morning is the 6th day of the 7th month and the year 2013, and with great joy I welcome you to the much anticipated radio program, and it is the maiden edition of the People's Court, made possible and powered by the movement of Voice for Democracy, also known as Movers Nigeria.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
I'm happy to be here.
Okay, you heard him. We look at something very...
I welcome all listeners to this maiden edition of the People's Court. Incidentally, because it's the maiden edition, we have an open forum. Open forum is to agitate and stimulate the minds of the people towards democracy. I must first of all thank all listeners who have been following our program by Movers Nigeria, Movement of Voice for Democracy. My name is Ifeanyi Chukwu Okonkwo. I am the initiator and promoter of Movers Nigeria. My fellow citizens, before we go into the maiden edition and the case stated by the presenter, I want to use this singular opportunity and privilege to remind you that we had before now a program called Straight Talk, where we were introducing the duty and responsibility of the citizens towards democracy. And in one of the editions, we had a public complaint by a citizen, Barrister Asogwa, who used the opportunity of this forum to bring complaint to public table. And all the citizens who followed that program that particular day knew what happened. He made a very far-reaching allegation and claimed that his life and liberty was at stake. Having resolved and this great opportunity to thank two great Nigerians, distinguished men who believe in rule of law, that have the capacity to assist the development and deepening of democracy. Fellow citizens, I want to use this opportunity to thank the two people who use their institutions and position to advance freedom and justice. I am humbled to use this single opportunity to mention the contribution by the Honorable the Chief Judge of Enugu State, Professor Honorable Justice Innocent Umezurike. I'm loyal. I have the humility and pleasure to thank you for your intervention to secure freedom within the premises of the court for Asogwa. It is a great sacrifice that the rule of law is supreme. I want to use this opportunity to also thank the Honorable Distinguished Attorney General of Enugu State, Mr. Anthony Ikechukwu Ane. He's a distinguished Nigerian. He intervened without any further delay to make sure that the due process of law was followed and acts and withdrew the charge that was mitigating against the freedom of citizen Asogwa. To these distinguished Nigerians, I want to use this opportunity to tell believers in justice that there still hope. I thank them greatly, and God will continue to bless them. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now to the subject of the day. The question for determination in today's edition, as proposed by the citizen and presenter, because this is the maiden edition, is Nigerian democracy is threatened by our culture of impunity. Do Nigerians hate the rule of law? as the forum advocate in this program on behalf of Movers Nigeria, this is the findings of the forum advocate, which will help the people to pathfind justice and see if we can find solution by also considering the juror or the jury, which is the public. I submit, sir, that our democracy is only 14 years old, and it is like midnight, because midnight is a time in our lives when everything takes the sight of gray. The citizens have refused to accept the tenets of democratic form of governance. Democracy is necessary due to man's inclination to injustice. Justice for all is the hallmark of democratic government, and it is the belief in justice and the rule of law that makes democracy very attractive. Democracy is becoming out of fashion in Nigeria today. And one of the biggest tragedies in Nigeria is the reign of culture of impunity. Impunity is that uncommon feeling of, who are you? Do you know who I am? You cannot do anything. I can do and undo as I please. You see it around all the time. And it is not limited to those in uniform, politicians or public officers. The big man and big women and their children get away with blue murder in Nigeria without question. But if you think it is only individuals that are lawless, what about our state institutions? Take a look and you see a car driving against traffic on a one-way street, or someone failing to obey traffic light. 3 out of 5 will be government vehicle. This virus in our democratic culture of impunity is the underbelly of why development have eluded Nigeria in all departments of our national life. Our situation is so deplorable that court judgments mean nothing to Nigerians and our leaders. Nigerians, in our humble view, do not hate rule of law, but every Nigerian must embrace mass education and education in civics for democracy to survive in this country. Just recently, Nigerian leaders have become very despondent with our democratic culture that the latest pronouncements in public to save our democracy and helplessness of our leaders are summed as follows. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Aminu Tambuwal, once said very recently, and I quote, "We need revolution now," unquote. The Honorable the Chief Justice of Nigeria, in a public statement, said thus: "The reduction in budgetary allocation may fuel corruption in judiciary," unquote. Just yesterday, the Federal Judicial Service Commission issued a statement hailing themselves, and I quote, 5 staff of the Supreme Court and another from the Court of Appeal sacked for leaking Supreme Court judgment," unquote. 28 state governors refused to conduct local government election in clear violation of Section 7 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. And they are still in office when they have flagrantly breached the same Constitution they swore to uphold and protect. Governor Chibike Amechi is calling on the IGP of the police to remove the COP of Rivers State without giving us reasons for his call. Our state governors in their governors forum cannot conduct a classic leadership election among themselves. Nigerian political elites and public servants live above the official incomes, and only themselves and the politicians are millionaires in our bank books, and nobody cares. Human rights of citizens annoy members of the Nigerian security forces. Men and women in uniform behave like outlaws in the wild west of America when confronted by civil authority. Access to justice is only for the rich, and justice delayed, or in some cases for the highest bidder. Insecurity and terrorism has led to the deployment of military personnel in over 30 states, and the Nigerian Senate is still calling for more troops deployment in the states. Bank officials helping themselves with the depositors' funds, which led to the central bank takeover of many banks and the setting up of the Bank Access Company. Unity College admission: students from Yobe and Taraba states gain admission by scoring between 2 and 3 points, but students from Anambra State, Imo State need to score 139 points. Nigerian political parties find it very difficult to abide by their rules set out in their respective constitutions. Nigerians hate merit and have elected to be governed by mediocres by adopting zoning in this modern age of excellence. Nigerian political elites are incapable of running government by their elected federal system but unitary central government. In Nigerian financial institutions, money deposit is the name of the game, and financial plan for wealth creation are shunned. Our governors run government of donation outside statutory budgetary system. Our national development policy for science and technology is hinged on friends of those who are in power and not based on those with the competence. This is my verdict. The way forward is what the promoter of People's Court, Movement of Voice for Democracy, is praying every Nigerian citizen to do, is to challenge this new culture among Nigerians called impunity and embrace the rule of law and follow due process. The reason being that Nigerian constitution promises justice, freedom, and equality for the purpose of consolidating the unity of our people. I will refer Nigerian citizens to the great sayings of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., who said, and I quote, "Morality cannot be legislated, but behavior can be regulated," and unquote. Finally, citizens, in the People's Court, the case submitted is refused that the Nigerians hate the rule of law. And I hold that by virtue of the community reading of sections 13 and 14, sub 1 and sub 2 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, it is hereby accordingly declared as follows. 1. Sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom government through this constitution derives all its powers and authority. 2. The security, welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. And 3. The participation by the people in their government shall be ensured in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. Accordingly, Movers Nigeria, Movement of Voice for Democracy, enjoin every citizen not to condone impunity, but bring the culprits and promoters of impunity, no matter their abstention, to the People's Court. This is the verdict of the forum advocate. May it please all citizens, and your contribution will help to affirm this judgment. That is the judgment of the People's Court.